Hey everyone, and welcome to today's Explainer. I am absolutely thrilled you're tuning in because we are about to unpack something truly profound. Today, we're taking a really fascinating look at the ancient text of Mark, specifically chapter 8. But listen, here's the key. We are not going to treat this like some dusty, boring history lesson. No way. We're going to use this text as a deeply personal mirror for our modern lives, taking a hard look at our own psychological hurdles. We're diving deep into the journey toward actual transformative clarity. So let's get right into it. Okay, right off the bat, let's challenge a pretty massive assumption most of us make. We walk around assuming that physical sight, literally just having our eyes open, means we see the world clearly. But our bold hook today completely challenges that idea. We're talking about spiritual blindness, because as it turns out, seeing is definitely not the same thing as understanding. The text reveals that our absolute greatest blindness is often completely internal. Think about it. You can witness literal miracles. You can hear the absolute truth. You can have all the evidence right there in front of your face and still completely, totally miss the point of what is actually being shown to you. Now, what's really interesting about this slide is that it highlights a massive difference between merely seeing something and truly understanding it. Jesus wasn't just trying to get his disciples to memorize historical facts or, gather data like a spreadsheet. He was actively inviting them to see differently. And really, this entire explainer is about making that exact same leap, moving beyond just collecting mere information and stepping into actual transformation. It's about moving from raw knowledge into real wisdom, and from merely believing a concept into actually becoming something completely different. Section 1. Forgetting yesterday's faithfulness, the illusion of sight. To really understand our first internal obstacle to clear vision, we have to look at this totally remarkable event in the text. So the chapter opens with this incredible story where Jesus feeds 4,000 people with just 7 loaves of bread, right? It's amazing. But then, almost immediately, a new challenge pops up, and the disciples start stressing out about food. I mean, just think about that for a second. Why on earth do they panic about a lack of food when they had literally just watched Jesus miraculously provide for thousands? Shouldn't they know by now that provision just isn't an issue? But before we judge them too harshly, let's be real. How often do you and I do the exact same thing? You've had doors open for you that you absolutely couldn't open yourself. You've been carried through tough seasons you thought would literally break you. And yet, the very second a brand new challenge appears on the horizon, we panic as if we've never been helped before. We completely, entirely forget the mountains we've already overcome. And honestly, this beautifully illustrates the psychological battle we all face every single day. On one hand, fear acts like this weird kind of amnesia. It literally erases yesterday's faithfulness and completely magnifies today's problem. But on the other hand, true faith? Well, true faith isn't just some naive optimism that pretends there's no shortage or no problem. Not at all. True faith is actually an active memory. It is deliberately remembering past provisions and trusting that what is placed in the right hands is and always will be enough. Let's move to and see how this builds in section 2, the trap of certainty. Why some people never see. This idea really escalates when we look at another group in the text, the Pharisees. Now, if the disciples struggled with memory, the Pharisees struggled with absolute, rock-solid certainty. They came up to Jesus and demanded another sign to prove who he was. But here is the striking thing about the Pharisees. They absolutely were not lacking evidence. They had already witnessed mountains of miracles. Their problem wasn't that they hadn't seen enough. No, their problem was that they had already decided exactly what they were willing to believe long before the evidence ever arrived. And honestly, this forces us to hit pause and ask ourselves a deeply uncomfortable question. Am I genuinely searching for truth, or am I simply looking for confirmation of what I already believe? Are we, just looking for evidence that neatly validates our pre-existing certainties? So the crucial point here is that humility is the doorway to growth, simply because humility allows us to be surprised. True sight actually requires us to let go of what we've previously decided we're willing to believe. Think of it like this. If you approach life, or truth, or faith with a tightly closed fist of absolute certainty, you can literally never be handed anything new. You simply cannot be surprised by the truth if you're walking around thinking you already own the whole shebang. Section 3. The power of influence. Be careful what shapes you. Right on the heels of these interactions, Jesus gives his disciples a very specific, direct warning to beware of the leaven of the Pharisees and of Herod. And true to form, the disciples totally missed the point again. They think he's talking about actual bread because, well, they literally forgot to pack lunch. But he isn't talking about baking here. He is talking about human psychology.
Leaven is a slow, quiet influence. It goes completely unnoticed at first, but eventually it affects the entire loaf. This metaphor is just brilliant because it illustrates exactly how human transformation actually works. We all love to think that we're changed in one massive dramatic moment, right? Like a lightning bolt of clarity. But the reality? We are actually shaped through the slow, steady accumulation of unseen forces, working quietly under the surface over time.
And this applies directly to the everyday influences in our own lives. The books we read, the conversations we actively choose to entertain, the voices we give our precious attention to, the fears we mentally rehearse over and over again in our heads, the beliefs we repeat, the media we consume. All of these things act exactly like leaven in our lives. They are shaping us little by little, day by day. So the question you have to ask yourself isn't whether you're being influenced by the world around you. The undeniable fact is you are. The real question is, what is influencing you? What kind of leaven are you allowing into your life right now?
Section 4, the journey to clarity, the multi-stage healing.
Okay, I want to significantly slow our pacing down right here, because the text presents one of the most unusual miracles in all the Gospels. Jesus heals a blind man, but he doesn't do it all at once. He actually heals him in stages. In step 1, Jesus touches the man, and the man says, "I see people, but they look like trees walking." It's a blurry beginning. Then, Jesus touches him a second time, and his vision finally becomes perfectly clear. Now, why on earth would Jesus do this in stages when he had healed so many other people instantly? Well, because this miracle isn't just about one guy's physical eyes. It is about every single one of us. This is exactly how spiritual growth works in our own lives. We start with blurry beginnings. We recognize our old toxic habits, but we don't quite know how to fix them yet. Then, in step 2, we catch these little glimpses of the truth, even though our understanding is still kind of fuzzy and confusing. And then, finally, in step 3, as we just keep putting one foot in front of the other, our vision becomes clear over time. Which brings us to our final takeaway for today. Transformation is a journey, not a single moment. God is patient with the process, shouldn't we be too? You see, true clarity, moving from just seeing to truly understanding, takes time. It's a process. It requires us to actively remember past faithfulness, to completely drop our arrogant certainties, to guard exactly what influences us, and to be deeply, deeply patient with our own blurry progress. So as we wrap up this explainer, I want to leave you with this final provocative thought to chew on today. If the ultimate source of truth is patient with your blurry, unfinished journey toward clarity, why are you being so hard on yourself?